조연속이 조남라 전주 바르다니 객수치 야기 전예 깊에 성남기 조라펜치 성기 주파쇼 조연속이 조남라 전주 바르다니 객수치 야기 전예 깊에 성남기 조라펜치 성기 주파쇼 조연속지 조남라 전투 바르다니 캡수지 다기 주님 빛에 선한기 조라펜치 성계 주아쇼
Hello everybody. Good evening. How are you? Good. I hope so good. Anyway, I'm very happy to start with my baby knowledge with you guys. The grand and path. Now we have to go to Buddhism GPS. How you go to without. Then next we just click put others there and just go straight. 야야 다지는 가서 간가 가서 모르겠어 봐. 아니 진짜 주의자. 아니 다 사람들이 아니 다 그렇게 좋은 것이야 모르겠어.
And so we are very fortunate to have this opportunity to study the path and ground by Geshe Ngawang.
그래서 이제 주의자한테 해야 된다. 근데 쓰레시기. 단 캠봉아와 된 말이었어. 봤다. 캠보 다시 돈 주시죠.
So the Geshe Ngawang was the fifth abbot of Serajia Monastery, and now the present abbot is the 74th.
시다 사람 단단하다 보면 다 쓰레시기 다 시고서 그런 거 되고 지도 주의자들 사람들이 시작하는데 그랬어.
And so actually there are many scriptures on paths and grounds, but as a student Geshe from Serajia Monastery, when we study, we teach the text that is composed by Geshe Ngawang.
근데 네 사람들이 다 가만히 오르나 만도 아니 저와 된세 나라야 내가 이식이 도당하세 특실을 다 되네 맞죠 그래서.
And so how it came about, I mean how this the text or scripture started is that in one of the commentary of the Ornament of Clarification is called known as the Clear Meaning. In there it talks about the accumulation of wisdom, and so this is where this the whole text came from that line or phrase about the accumulation of wisdom.
어떤지 저와 된세도 좀 성게 돼 아니 자학이 있다 개파니 그 성게서 무슨 말했어.
And so the commentary known as Clear Meaning is composed by a great scholar of India known as Haribhadra.
아니 대근 저와 된세서 대주도 땅 도진다 그랬어. 못 도진.
So like I said, the clear meaning, the commentary, clear meaning, is actually the commentary to the Ornament of Clear Realization by Buddha Maitreya.
아니 대근도 이제 값 당부 나라야. 아니 소득 주된 세시를 다 내려야 되죠. 소득 주된 세시.
And so in the first chapter of the Ornament of Clear Realization, Buddha talks about 17 accumulations. And so an accomplishment of accumulation. And so this is one of those 17s.
아니 좀더 막 대한테 주체상들이나 다 소럽지대. 다 육사면은 장사스러워.
So those of you who have studied the 70 topics before, then you might know those 17 accomplishments of accumulation if you have not forgotten them.
아니 뒤에가 자와도 뭐도 이거 뭐나 딱 세다질라 서봐. 신나라도 좀 손들이 걸어. 타락가 봐. 타블랑 개바 가야다. 이 시간 다다로는 아주 쇼로 같이 있어요.
So that is explained in the Ornament of Clear Realization. I don't remember the whole verse, but anyway, there's a verse of that.
I remember this long term, then I didn't again. No, forget. What is that? Tenjiga muto jende karing traverse na. Tenjiga muto jende ta nazo saji chomde de song ta jetoma. Ta bomma de gero.
And so the Ornament of Clear Realization itself is actually a commentary also, the commentary of the Profession of Wisdom Sutra.
What tenjiga muto jese telaya ta tombo de la chen de osho mogoro. Osho mogoro machi. Tenjiga muto jese de ta nam kanju nam ta kanju ko de bartro kanju. Chomde de song kanju de bartro. Sheshi de bares.
And so it is a commentary to the Profession of Wisdom Sutra, or also the Kanjur, is the translated teachings of Buddha.
이제 모두 시에다 특기전에 남도 질로는 가서 고마를 거건로데 조사하고는 가서 뭐나 특등 가서 고아도 내 도움을 들어.
So the Ornament of Clear Realization is all in the in a verse form. So it is written, in a stanza. In the stanzas, so it's a little bit difficult to understand the meaning. If you're just reading through, it will be difficult to understand the meaning when it's read in Tibetan.
So have to know that this. 이 거를 뭐지? 다 되게 무도제서 하더라. 저와 니스타지요. 저간에 야 버리듯이 무슨 니스타지 와.
So the Ornament of Clear Realization, they have 21 commentaries that were composed by the scholars from India. So all those commentaries are actually in that scriptures, in the translated commentaries.
Right there?
Yeah, that we don't know that.
So anyway, so most of us, mostly we use the commentary known as the clear meaning.
Okay. 바꿔 놓다서는 맞다. 사람들 되면 다 기타로 들으래. 단단히 도지가 자오기 특하지 진이 주줘서 대건 내가 다 이식 속세야 되겠다. 이식 속세야 되다. 내가 들으세요. 저는 감도.
And so that verse that I just try to recite, that is from the Ornament of Realization, Clear Realization, so this is the commentary to that, and this where it talks about the accumulation of exalted wisdom. That's from the clear meaning.
다 대건 저와다 다 단단히 주주 취점생이 아니 다 사람은 남자가서 다 네게 주주 지원해서.
So the commentary to that, then Geshe Chogyatsen wrote this commentary known as the Paths and Dharmas.
다 사람 세야 돼. 다 사다 남 세야 돼. 사 세야 돼. 는 나도 고마워서 사들라고 말해서.
So so when we're talking about the grounds and paths, the ground we're talking about is not the ground that we stand on.
내가 사제가 사라. 내가 나도 사다 진짜 그번에 가운데 나도 람번 로고도 왔어요 그런 거. 내나제 나도 사제가 타와도 쓰지가 como 토발라. 아니 된다고 싶다 람다고 싶. 또 봐지 소리가 전에 됐다. 야무진 로고 그래서 돼. 내가 사라 람 다시 봤어.
And so you build the path on the ground, right? So ground, you need the path to get to somewhere. Wherever you are going, you need the road or the path to get there. So it's the same here. By practicing the teachings, you're going on a path to achieve enlightenment, to reach the state of full enlightenment. And so those paths, and those practices that you do and the realizations that you gain, those are called the paths here. And so here, on the path and ground is referring to the realization within the continuum of the practitioner.
Therefore, this kind of mind, then we have to put our GPS. The electricity worker, the scientists cannot put this path on ground. Now we put by own personal. All this, that don't go to it. Who else? Do we have guys at
You have the text, scripture with you?
Did anyone not get a copy of it in the email? Okay, I don't think we have any printed today, but I'll make sure to email out to anyone that didn't get it, and maybe we'll try to bring some printed copies next week.
So when we talk about the paths and grounds, there are 15 paths. We talk about 15 paths, the 5 of each vehicle, and each, the 3 vehicles, and then there are 10 grounds that we talk about. So the path, when we talk about the 5 paths of each vehicle, and so there's the 5 paths. The first one is called the path of accumulation. So the moment you generate renunciation, that's when you enter into a path. That's when you have generated the path in your continuum. And so the renunciation, is a genuine mind that wishes to achieve liberation. So when we say genuine, the actual or genuine, then we're talking about the renunciation, the path that arises in your mind without having to make any effort, so kind of spontaneously. And so that kind of a genuine path. So when you have genuine path in your mind or renunciation in your mind, then it's just like affection, a mother's affection towards a child. When the child is about 2-3 months or 1 or 2 years old, the mother, even though she's doing something else, but her mind is always thinking about the child. And so the thought about the child is there all the time, and spontaneously. So that is the kind of thought of the renunciation you should have when you have the genuine renunciation in your mind. So that's when Lama Tsongkhapa said, when you have a wish to achieve liberation throughout day and night, at that time you have generated the renunciation. So when we talk about having the thought of achieving liberation throughout day and night, we don't have to think that we should only think about that and don't have to do anything else. We cannot have time to do anything else.
Right? Don't worry, okay? Even the moms, maybe baby born, maybe 2-3 months, but they do all other activities. But even they going to sleep, they're very easy to wake up. This kind of mind. Then we jump down the real Buddha's path, the ground. What is it? That means you say that this Kondo Marada, something like that, no don't.
So that's the renunciation. If you don't understand the renunciation, then you make mistake. So whenever you have generated renunciation in your mind, then that's when you have entered the path.
오다 담보들라 담도 솔omse 그래도 솔omse.
And so the first path that you enter is called the path of accumulation.
아니 다 대니 이빠들라 솔omse 조nomse 그래도.
And then the second one is called the path of preparation.
아니 조nom 니스 또. 대래 조nom 니는 내 등에 가다다 망쳐라야 다 소소치고 비차 그래도.
And so those who are on the path of accumulation and path of preparation are going to call the ordinary beings.
답은 담은 니트라고 하잖아요. 근데 니트라잖아. 니트 조nom도 조nom라고 그러더라고.
So we can apply that to all three vehicles. So let's apply this to the hearer's vehicle. And so when you talk about the first two paths, the path of preparation of the hearers or path of accumulations of hearers.
왔다 니트고 조nom 고래나 소소치고 비찹스. 제작하는 쪽으로.
And so if you are a practitioner on the path of accumulation or path of preparation of the hearer's vehicle, then you are ordinary beings.
근데 조nom 동부 조nom 근데 좀 근데 도놈스 제거래. 당 도놈스 가지 돕나 동반이 된가서 또. 딱 동반이지 가사디 동반이 된가서 남 또나 아니 도놈 도놈도 그랬고.
And after the path of accumulation and path of preparation, when you achieve the third path, which is called the path of seeing, then that time you achieve, you generate the direct realization into emptiness, and that so that's when you achieve the path of seeing.
일단 토론 톱님이 가다는 법안이 찹스 쳐서 그래요.
And so once you have achieved the path of seeing, where you have the direct realization of emptiness, then you become a superior being, so no more ordinary being, a superior being.
다 되니 다티 소소지 빵자는 제대로 그래서 와다 빵자 앞에나 다 저번에 먹으러 다 간제 빵자 지 셴바지 다지 빵지 그런 거 빵이 차네 아니 돈은 고놈세도 잘 그래서 간제 돈은 고나긴 깍 빵거야 빵 퇴를 그가 그디 빵나는 고놈 받에 잘 그래서.
And so there are abandonments, to be abandoned during the path of seeing. So by applying the antidote, the wisdom lies in emptiness. When you have abandoned those abandonments, to be abandoned on the path of seeing, when you have done that, then you move up to the fourth path, which is called the path of meditation.
근데 고놈 받에 다 가디 상제와나 다들 물론 없어. 물론도 돈 그래서. 나중에도
그런 것들 거듭상 경우는
다 고놈 받에 다치면도 가디 돈. 다 빠져간 거. 다 빠져간 빠는 다 다치면도 돈 그래서.
Is there a certain number of abandonments?
Oh yeah, walk on the Lord. It's up to the Lord count, okay?
And so there are also abandonments to be abandoned in the path of meditation. And so when you have abandoned all those abandonments, then you achieve Buddhahood, and also known as the path of normal learning.
Then the cheap enlightenment. Then you have to stay all day, all night. But that tell a lamga to the lamga.
So those are the five paths. Okay?
다 대치바랬더니 다들 인도에 받는데 라자가 람가스 노다 치바랬어. 근데 대화주를 람가는 노다 치바랬어.
And so those are the five paths that you apply to the hearer's vehicle, then you can also apply to the solitude realizer's vehicle, and then you can apply to the Mahayana vehicle.
오케이. 다 대강도 집에나 kindergarten에 아니지. 다들 다 laptop 치바로 간 치치니까.
So it is same as moving up in your classes starting from kindergarten.
와 된저게 다는 연주 선배 연주 선배 가디 가다 들었잖아. 가다 들잖아. 람께와래. 가다 들잖아. 사께와래. 사다사. 다시 라이브로 간지 람.
And so whenever the person has generated renunciation in his or her mind, then the person has entered into the path.
어떤데? 다된 것도 다 가르치. 다 롭트라고 그래서 제주도 지금 됐지. 사람 봐야 싫어 봐.
So this is just to give you a rough idea about the path.
Then we don't know what's going on, you know. Very what call. It doesn't have. You guys have not experience. I don't have experience. Then 다 냠냠맹이 신나 싫어하고 다 고마워 와.
So someone who doesn't have experience to people who don't have experience, then there will be not much understanding, right?
So when you were talking about generating renunciation, you said that it's like a mother who has a 3-year-old child or someone. She's thinking about him a lot, but not always. Is it the same with the other stages of the path, where when you're abandoning, that you're not always abandoning, but
대고 말 아니 대고 말 돈이 들어로 그냥 제조하고 말 칼라사기 사기 뒤쳐가지고 그 칼라사이로도 그냥 제가 돈이 들어로 그 파냐 되는 거 또 얼마 그래서 또 오면 가로 가 돈이 들어로 예
요즘에도 또 버리시는 건 비고 말이죠.
그건 좀 말다 맨 맞지 왜 되고 들로 치가로 그래 어떤 치가로 그래
It's a similar, yes. This is just example. We're giving example. What does it mean by having, that kind of thought throughout day and night? And are you thinking only about that and doing nothing else? It's not like that. Like mother who has, who always thinks about her child. That she has in the background of her mind. She always have, the thought about her child. But it doesn't mean that she's only thinking about the child and not doing anything else. So even if she's doing other things, she still has the thought of her child in the background of her mind. So it's similar to that. So other parts are same also. So even the realization of emptiness, it's not that once you have realized emptiness, it doesn't mean that you are realizing, that realization of the mind, the realization or the mind realizing emptiness is manifesting all the time.
Right.
It's not like that.
okay.
그냥 만두질라 만두 수수지오질라 시바 찌먹은 게 도마 그냥 무시로는 게나 다시 봐도 봐야 그래 반응하고 그러고
So the sentient beings, other than Buddha, of course Buddhas are, they have those abilities, but the sentient beings don't have the ability to manifest two types of mind at the same time. So when one mind is manifesting, the other one is kind of sleeping.
그래서 앞에나 샹처에서 또 맞이나 냐바저 돼 갑라 다 또만이면서 또 별로 등에 제대로서 샹처에서 이제서 꼭 봐야 돼.
So the Bodhisattva who is, meditating on emptiness, his mind realizing emptiness is manifesting at that time. So his bodhicitta or compassion are sleeping. It's not really functioning at that time.
다 되네 냠자는 제탈을 지이 샤네 아니 샹처에서 이제도 좀 해야 돼. 지금 봐도 또 때문에 야 돈이도 왜 달로도 맛이 봐야 되도 없고.
And then when he wakes up, from that meditative absorption, and then practices generosity, that time his bodhicitta, his compassion are manifesting, and the mind realizing emptiness is kind of sleeping.
야 당간도 시다 이차 가시는 로다시나 샹처에서 냠자가 되라 샹처에서 매세요. 또 그래 피해서들이 열도 와.
But some scriptures, they explain that a bodhisattva bodhisattva who is in meditative absorption don't have bodhicitta at that time. So this is something to debate on again.
Maybe you do yours.
I haven't heard that one before.
Usually they are lost in the belief.
So the scripture that's used by the Lothaling monastery, according to them, that's what they say, that when one mind is manifesting, other doesn't exist. So then we point at their fault and saying that if you don't have bodhicitta at that time, then you're not bodhisattva at that time. So if you are bodhisattva, then how can you not have bodhicitta? But this is what we say, but they also have different explanation to prove that they're right.
Even you have to go to their monasteries. Once a year they Sarah, Garden, people, they together for 1 month, big debate. That each other's 봐서 걸 직진에 다가로 주스 뭐 가로 바로 도시 세르스로.
So yeah, there's this gathering, of all the monks from all these 3 great monasteries in one time in a year, and they all debate, from different texts. So they have a lot to debate.
오케이, 다들 다 가도 돼. 시단으로 다른 가도 다시 내 맛이 말로 있어요.
So that's just a general idea, and now we're going to go according to the text.
다들 이시도도 시소지 가서 소리 쯤되지는 이시도도 싫어도 지금 제시 나왔어.
And so it says in that there is the accumulation of exalted wisdom, and so of the 17 accomplishment of accumulation. Why explain the accumulation of exalted wisdom in particular?
다 네가 이식이 쏟아야 돼. 돈이 가서 또 불러질 납득을 봐. 근데 이식 쏟아야 돼.
So here, the accumulation of exalted wisdom is referring to mind realizing emptiness.
나 이식 쏟아야 쓸때 아니 내가 될 때인 건데 라인 봤어.
So like I said before, that this word, the accumulation in that there is accumulation of exalted wisdom. So that line or phrase is from the commentary, clear meaning.
와트는 다 이식 소득 지대요. 와트는 근데 이식 쏟아 담보시고 이제 가르잖아. 다 이식도 똑같이 돈나 편의점에서 대마이자 다 가능해서 고시 말해서.
And so it says there is a reason for the accumulation of exalted wisdom. So the reason why it is explained is because it says the accumulation of wisdom, exalted wisdom, is difficult to realize, and if realized, it carries great benefit and virtue.
다 이식도 똑같이 가나 이식 소소는 돈이 또 그래. 돈이도 똑같고 그래서.
And so the reason why it is difficult to realize is because, like I said, the accumulation of exalted wisdom is referring to emptiness, and so it's difficult to realize emptiness.
근데 이식 소소야 돼. 다 동반이 뉴스 사실 다 나는 없는 것이다. 네가 갑자기 다 자위 주는 거래. 제때만 맞춰 장사하시면 다 동반이 뉴스 사이에 디프로 시작하죠. 간지 돈이 뉴스도 이식 뉴스를 납시하죠.
And so there are 20 emptinesses, not explained in this text, but in the Professional Wisdom Sutra, at this point, it explains about 20 wisdoms realizing 20 emptinesses.
어떤지 다 가져야 맞지. 무슨 막 이식 소식을 제대로 가는 이식의 시대 똑같이 돈나 편의점보다 대마이자 된다시 말해. 똑같이 아니 돈이 더 거래. 돈이 더 나다 돈이 싫어 편의점 보내 들어와.
And so the reason why this is explained here in particular is because it is very difficult to realize an exalted wisdom, and if it is realized, then it has a great benefit. So the reason why it's difficult to realize is because the emptiness, the exalted wisdom is referred as emptiness, because emptiness is difficult to realize, and once you realize, it has a great benefit.
Then you put the GPS, you mark, then you never lost the you. 어디지? 다들 사실 바지들 사진 가서 들어와. 진짜 주디 값을
So there are 5 sections, explained in 5 sections.
다 어디인지 로수정게 봐서 오마벨은 대바자 봐지. 대라 레카 본다 대라 세바 본 봐서. 아니 샘샘을로 까봐지. 다 이시야와 이시야와 제메지 제대로 나스.
So the 5 sections are setting out the individual systems of the middle way and mind only, proving the reasonableness of the middle way system, abandoning grounds for disputing that, refuting the mind only system, and the 5th one is the reasons for not explaining the other divisions of exalted wisdom.
다 담보대 오마백은 샘샘백은 두술 되고 오마백은 두술 되고 그래서 근데 다 군이 루카가 하셔버리더라고.
And so first it explains, what the system asserted by these 2 schools of thought, the middle way school and the mind-only school. So it explains, the mind-only school asserts in this way, the middle way school asserts things in this way.
아니 이 밥에 다 샘샘백도 야보면 또 오마백이 된 대가리 된 대바트 봐더라고.
And so then you prove that the middle way school is the right. And then it says proving the reasonableness of the middle way school or middle way system.
근데 대라 저밥 다 저밥 보면 왔다 그
And then there is the abandoning grounds for disputing that.
And then sensible cover, that sensible
So by disputing, then you refute the mind-only system. Here it says mind-only, but actually it refutes all other systems like the Sutra school system, the particular school or the Babashka schools.
And that sort of children, sort of Shimazu,
And so, so then the fifth one is the reason for not explaining other divisions of exalted wisdom. So among the 17, why only this one is explained and not others. So the exalted wisdom, and here is, like I said, is referring to the wisdom relies on emptiness directly within the continuum of the superior beings. And so here in the mind only, so it says mind only maintains that a truly established emptiness, which is the apprehended form and apprehending consciousness being empty of being different substances, is the assessed and object of the Arya's meditative equipoise. So if you have studied the tenets and the 70 topics, then you have heard this lot.
Also, if you study Dharma,
Sublime Continuum.
you heard about this. 간제만지 나나데 샘좀이게 다르더래 얘들아.
So anyway, this is the ultimate view of the mind-only school. It's in the apprehended form and apprehending consciousness being empty of being different substances.
샘좀이게 방어도 그냥 죽자로 그러더라. 죽대 쓰면 다른 것도 말해서 그러려고 그러더라.
So then we have a form, right? The form comes into existence by depending on the consciousness apprehending that form.
그래서
So because it exists by depending on that consciousness apprehending that form, therefore that form and the object form and the consciousness apprehending that form are of same substance. So these two are empty of being different substance. Because they are for same substance, therefore different, empty of being different substances. So that's the truly established in emptiness, and so that's the ultimate view of the mind-only school.
We talk about this tenets term.
Tenets.
We talk about that, right? That is, 다들 샘섬에게 아니 이식 촉서야 되게 야자대 가르나 주당선만 되지 주당선만 되지 동화 덴바트바데 레스나 콜라콜로.
And so so that's what the mind-only school is saying. The object of the exalted wisdom is that the apprehended form and apprehended consciousness are being empty of inherent different substances.
왜 다산도 다 고소하지도.
So I understand, right? The mind-only school.
이제 이게 좀 different, okay? 근데 간지 맞지 심어 오모는 오모 그때 잘 말들어.
So now when we come to the mind-only school, the middle way school, then it will be different again.
간지
The
맞지.
ultimate view of the middle way school.
간지 맞지 따와 다투 검제 쪼데 주당선만 되지 동화들에 공부하고 그래서.
And so the ultimate view, that's exerted by the mind-only school, is that the form, the object, the form, and the consciousness apprehending that form are empty of different substances.
다시 다들 샘섬에 다 오마왜 추던전 내면에 돈이대 다다디 법이냐 지자자 레스 대식 소리 들어 이식 소고 자자 되거든요.
And then The middle way maintains that emptiness, which is all phenomena being empty of true existence, is the assessed object of the Arya's meditative equipoise.
대군이 가져서 왔어. 간지 맞이 이식 소사의 시바지 맞지. 지금 들이 이식 소띠겠다 미파. 얘들이 그래. 지금 너 내려지 되는 말은 내려지 군이 가져서 좋아.
And so now you see this different, right? So the one says this is how it is, and the other says this is how it is.
근데 이식 소사의 시바지 맞지로.
And so anyway, so the accumulation of exalted wisdom, and that is a consciousness.
아니 지금서 나 이식 소금이 봐 내려서 애벌에서 지금서 말 깝들에서 거기 가가지고 왔어. 그지?
And so the objection of the exalted wisdom, one says is the apple, one says the cup.
That's a pear.
그래. 그래서
That's a pear.
No, it's a mango.
It's a mango. I was gonna say it's a mango.
He has the wisdom.
오케이.
Snake.
다 대입의 제대가 아니 양한이 왜 생겨서 한번 제배가 다 제나서야 되나 아니 그 모든 거 와서 다 내때스 강의에서 와 의미를 듣고
So then the reason to prove that, then the Jinshu Yanzen quotes from again another text by it's called Yanam,
내려서
and also there's a commentary by Haribhadra, a different commentary known as Yanam, and so Jinshu Yanzen quotes from there.
Is it spelled Jening?
What's
The commentary.
Yeah.
Yanam is
It's written.
G-Y-A-N, Yan.
Oh, okay.
What
That's the
is-
same commentary, right? The yen on is the same as clear words, right?
Yanam, the author's Chibaras.
어떻게 가래? 빼져 가니
It's
있어.
different.
Different text.
There are 21 commentaries for
Haribhadra wrote two.
Haribhadra also did not only two, there are a couple.
Okay.
Anyway, 21. This is one of the 21. 근데 다 뒤가 다 예배 수담적으로 내 가르는 거. 이식 소금이 받아 아니 치대리 때문에 돈이 때문에 제대로 가르나 나바모토 이식 누가 가르 나바모토 다 이식 소들라 그래서 와 강에서나 가지 동반이 넣으시다. 이제다 근데 추탐지 중고 동반이라 뭐 봐고 싶으면 싫었어. 다 대지들 가지 마지.
So it says here, if asked what is the focus of this non-conceptual exalted wisdom, some would maintain it is emptiness, others would maintain that it is the that it focuses on an emptiness of the very entity of all phenomena.
어떻게 다티 간이면 거기다 이 가가 자서 왔어.
And so anyway, so these two, they have the different explanation, right? The two different systems.
다 대해서 담보들 다 이봐. 아니 루테니지 나네 강태체 나스 다 루디 다 가르쳐 버렸어. 상님 다 와서 수지라고 그러더라. 타고마벨 때 대파인데 대드지를 빠놓다 요시르스.
And so then now the second section, which is proving the reasonableness of the middle way system, says which of those two systems is logically acceptable, and it is the middle way system that is logically acceptable because it has correct reasons that prove it.
어떤지 다 사제가 순서라 그러죠. 르빠가 따지네 다 르빠도 생각보다는 다 뒤지더라고 말이더라.
And so not just saying it is what Buddha said, but following the reasons, logical reasons, and whoever proves the logical reason, then you follow that.
다 워낙 강하시나 레첸레스 강하니 르빠이나 가다가 시바 르빠 강에 받대나스 가다가 시바 대다디 추담지라서 동반이라는 바인데 빼나 무는데 따라서 뭐 동반이라는 바 따오고 세빈한테 제발 지위 또비 시의 시바이 넣어서 다들 다 정화돼 그래도 간접에 다 주지 마시고
And so what are there is the great commentary gives syllogism of nature. So this is reasonable because whatever is consciousness focuses on emptiness, the nature of all phenomena. Take for instance that which focuses on the emptiness, entity such as the dream elephant or dream horse. This non-conceptual exalted wisdom, which is the object of caution, is also a consciousness.
레첸 얼마 레첸 있었잖아. Do you know Dechen who's?
Huh?
Dechen said Sutta.
Great commentary. Do you know?
Do you know who's?
Dechen.
Yeah.
I think it's Haribhadra, the same. I mean, he's the most famous commentator on obviously
No, there's some also some.
It's not Senge Sangho.
that kind of omenalaya, omendraya, meshetri. That kind of hakomitra.
So I don't know which what commentary is this. You know, commentary of what? The correct commentary. It's
Yeah,
commentary of
which one?
Which text? I don't know.
Yeah.
다 닝트다 닝라 다 갈라나 다 내가 또 고려 타버서 와. 다 이거 저도 고소하니 틀미 의사 저도 고소하지. 말로 다.
So did you understand that? What I just read
닝
from the great commentary.
right this still call. 다 가려서나
Fast.
Yeah, it's pretty fast.
Slowly,
Too fast.
저 가르치고.
No, it's nice.
You mean you want me to read slowly?
yeah.
That's
I don't
the-
think that's going to make it any clearer.
Simple words.
I think it's just
The
that.
great commentary gives the syllogism. You know syllogism?
Yeah.
No.
You don't know syllogism?
No. Simple words.
They need to write this
Okay,
stuff
so
down.
there's a logical
Yeah.
proof with some pieces that fit together to show that it's correct. That's what a syllogism is. So what's the syllogism?
So
You
logical
understand now?
proof.
Syllogism?
Logical truth.
It's a logical statement, a statement which has pieces that fit together in a certain way that prove what they are saying
Yeah.
logically.
So that's called syllogism.
Yeah.
And
So
the
what's the
syllogism?
It's right on page 1.
Yeah,
I
here's
don't have any text. So.
So the
Huh?
syllogism.
This is the great.
This is reasonable because whatever is consciousness focuses on emptiness, the nature of all phenomena. Take for instance, that which focuses on emptiness entities such as a dream elephant or a dream horse. This non-conceptual exalted wisdom, which is like object in question, is also a consciousness.
So
당보들라 당은 내가 가서 또 좀 하고 빼나. 시바였나? 데베토를 하려면 비찹 빼나 안에 물론도 따는 놈이 시바지. 아니 나보면 또 이신데야 시바에 넣어서 다 담보 또 어떻게 그러죠?
Understand?
시바였나? 데베토를 하려면 비찹세.
Shebaina, the Budong way.
하려면 비찹세. 아니 빼나 다 물론도 따는 놈이 시바지. 데베치. 다 되는 나바이 심어도 다 이시소 대양 시바를 해서 담보 그 정확하게 했어요. 그 정확하게.
I don't know.
So it's saying, so is it saying that a consciousness that is focusing on non-exalted, on non-conceptual exalted wisdom, but that non-conceptual exalted wisdom is also a consciousness. So it's a consciousness focusing on a consciousness. And that's why they're empty of being, and they're empty of being different.
No, it's not.
No, that's what it seems like it's saying in English.
식당 디컵을 가리려고 그러나
Just translate this with the it's proof that he's saying.
No,
Shebaina.
he's saying from here. Yeah, anyway.
예.
Shebaina.
시바였나? 데베토를 하려면 비찹스.
Right?
그
He
Yes.
said too fast.
If it's a consciousness,
Uh-huh.
you know, if it's consciousness, it is necessary to focus on its object that is empty of true existence.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, good. Yeah, okay.
다 빼나?
So we have that part.
For example,
Yeah.
아니 다 물음도 다 넣고 다 빼고 나도 다 근데 나도 그 적용 물어봤어.
the dream horse or dream elephant.
Yeah.
So dream horse, in the dream, you see the horse.
Yes.
You see the elephant.
Yeah.
Is it real elephant?
No.
No, that's like that.
근데
It's not
식당
truly elephant, but it's, you know, it appears as elephant.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
근데 식당 가서 또 나이도 대마도 나가 되는. 나도 이 저거 말했어. 다 대마 맞아 말했어. 와시비 이건 거.
So just like that. So whatever object that appears to the consciousness, or whatever object the consciousness is focusing on, you know, is not existing truly.
Not truly established.
Not truly established.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
오케이. 예, 그래.
Well, I looked in the dictionary, I looked up the word, and it said, as an example, all men are human, John is a man, therefore John is a human.
That's the syllogism.
That's a syllogism.
Yeah.
Logical proof.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's going step by step through this one now. So the first one is if your consciousness is aware of an object, the object must be empty of true existence, right? So that we agree, because in order to be a functional thing, it can't be truly existent, right?
Yes.
So we have that part, and then the example is like a horse, a dream horse, or a dream elephant. So that's a clear example. You experience it in the dream, but it isn't real. And you know it's not real. So that's the example. Then what? The next step.
다 다른 것도 삼성모도 떼져다 가래. 다 넘어모도 이시 도된 봐. 다 딩부가 가리는 것도 떼져다 돼. 다 1000부가 가리는 것도 떼져다.
And so now, anyway, what we're talking about, what we're debating on, is the wisdom, right? The exalted wisdom.
Yeah.
So the exalted. So now we're talking about the object of the exalted wisdom.
Yeah.
So not just any kind of consciousness, but the exalted wisdom.
근데 이제 다 세상 시바에다라는 거 때문에 또 이거 라인을 차거래. 배차잖아. 다 따는지래. 근데 이제 다 넘어모듯이 또 시바에 와서 걸. 또 바를 바뀌는 거죠.
And so if
Right.
it is a wisdom, if it's a consciousness, it is necessary to focus on an object that is empty of true existence. Right? And because the exalted wisdom is also consciousness, therefore, its object is the empty of true existence.
So this is just to distinguish between the
Mind-only.
Umapa and the Semtampa, right? Because
Yes.
Semtampa says that the emptiness is Yongdrup, right? It's actually real.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You guys got it?
You have to use the right terms.
No, I thought it.
So you guys got it? I got it.
You're saying Shunyata Shunya.
He is saying, like, according to the mind-only school, emptiness itself is a real thing. Like, their way of looking at it is there are mistaken ways of seeing things, and if you get rid of those, you find underneath the mistakes there is something real. However you put it, they put it very subtly, but that's what they're saying,
That's what emptiness is.
according to the mind-only school.
So this-
But the
I see.
middle way school is saying, well, because knowing anything requires the thing that's known to be empty of true existence, and because the exalted wisdom knows something, it's also empty of true existence. It goes all the way through with them. They say no, just like the, Heart Sutra. There is no this through everything.
Cut through everything.
So,
예.
yeah.
오케이.
So that's they prove the Chittamatra.
다 다른데 가르나 이게 시바에 박혀는 거지. 그래도 다 시바에나 내면도 오르는 데다 그 시바에 와서 시단 내코 가르나 코 집어라. 다들 시람 센터 붙이고 말단 저다고 뭐 강가라 가고 와서 가다 그 간소도 빼도 거. 빼도
No,
나
semdro kalago.
샘샘이 단다 유도도 맞아 이도 돈이 때마다 받대 기분 받을 거라고 와. 다 콜라 대고 말했어요. 가르드나 다 나지 내버려 봐. 근데 저거 말했어. 맞아. 뭐는 못 따나 시바레스. 빼대자니 되는데 시바에다 내면도 오르는 거 차거든. 되는데 다 남아면 되시 되고 아니 시바를 왔어. 갖고 봐. 아무 단식해 그러 왔어.
Excuse you.
So
But this may be too complicated. This is a monastery, the younger monks, they study always Tibet.
So what the younger monks study is too complicated.
too
for us.
complicated, yeah.
What they have to This is for current repaging.
So anyway, this is to sharpen your mind, to develop your wisdom, sharpen your mind. So anyway, you understood now, right? So Andy explained quite clearly in a simple word about the consciousness or the exalted wisdom being a consciousness. So whatever is focused by consciousness, it has to be empty of true existence. So because the exalted wisdom is also consciousness, therefore whatever it apprehends or whatever it focuses on, the object has to be empty of true existence.
다들 떠오는 거, 다 떠오게 그래서 봐. 다 넘어면 또 이지. 근데 내면 통을 받이 시바이 매시는 다 떠오는 게 그래서 나는 내세도 이 방에서 많이 돼. 대도라도 좀 많이 시바 텐트도 맞춰 봐야 많이라. 세도. 다들 맞춰 텐트야 말이, 가위 텐트야 말이, 아니 망에 텐트야 말이스. 다들 때 빠는 거라고 그러지.
And so this is a correct syllogism or correct reasoning, correct reason to prove that. And then it continues. The syllogism, if the focus is not directly perceivable, that which sees its object is not a thoroughly established, is not a non-established syllogism. And since it exists in the concordant class, it is not an excluding proof. And since the nature of all phenomena existing as suchness is later refuted, it is not an it's indeterminate proof either. So it's saying it's a correct reason because it's none of these any of these wrong reasons.
Okay, don't know what okay, it's a little complicated. We go to the job done, then more easy. It's a little bit
So here we're talking about the differences of the tenets, and so it's a little difficult if you haven't studied tenets before.
Can you explain a little bit, I think it'll help everybody, can you explain a little bit about mind only and Marimaka? Can you explain the two different schools and which is more pertinent to what we're going to be studying? Can you explain that?
Then you come out the shirt semsambe ko teshe it's over ko teshe then manzogi the kasa manzogi look che pejadero the kare look shi jadu wa the kola shirt. So the text we're studying is according to the middle way school. Middle way school.
And then same somebody kaji demata killing yes.
And so the mind only school asserts or accepts the things to exist truly.
And then tojapi tonin tatude yes.
And so the ultimate view, the
So it's
ultimate
like
view, the emptiness.
Baba Veka, is that how you say it? That's mind only school, Baba Veka.
Then JD, then of course, no, he's middle way school.
Asanga and Vasubandhu.
Yeah,
No, Chandrakirti is Majjhimaka. Asanga and Vasubandhu are the mind.
Mind only school.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I like Vasubandhu. This is good. This is good.
No, it doesn't mean that he's wrong. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't study him. You should study
Yeah.
Vasubandhu.
Nobody's wrong.
He's good.
No, I know, but now I'm confused, I
Kaji
have to study more and more and more. Study. Oh no.
Don't worry, okay? You have to study that.
Yeah.
If you know these views, then you jump on the other things, You will always not stuck there. Then you find exactly what's his views. Then maybe someone say they give some wrong. Then you say, oh, they have some wrong. Then you learn some other thing. Otherwise, you never learn, always stay there. So someone you always debate, then you learn something. Otherwise, the same, no one.
So if there's nobody to point at your faults, then you will never develop yourself. And so anyway, there's so much differences. So if we go into detail, it will create any more confusions. But anyway, so in short, mind only school says things exist truly, and the middle way school says things do not exist truly. Then again, in the middle way school, there are two. It says the autonomy middle way school, and there's the consequence middle way school.
Autonomy
Yeah.
and consequence.
Yeah, so it's called Savatandika Madhyamika and then Prasangika Madhyamika, two schools.
Yeah, that's what Lama Tsongkhapa teaches, right? Prasangika.
Yes.
Yes.
He teaches everything.
Jerumuchi Tiadi, Tajuba
But this one was Marimaka Prasangika.
Yeah, so he teaches everything, but he asserts the Prasangika Madhyamika's view. Yeah.
Okay, 다 간다나 다다 나바모토 이시 지지에서 이시 초대레스. 데메토는 오일라메디 시바이 메치나들이 또데 담 마드미테 말에 나도 랍서 좀 싫어서. 다 또도 깨고 있어. 가지 또시. 내가 또라 그랬어. It's very difficult to
So anyway, it says that syllogism, if the focus is not directly perceivable, that which sees its object is not a thoroughly established. It's not a non-established syllogism.
당어도 든 다시 오는 것은 그래 일라고 싶가이들. 다 데레스 다 디들아 같이 시바에는 지지에 데베도 위착. 맨날 뭐라도 당하는 때는 뭐지 그거. 이제 집에 정화된 데까지 되게 또도 말해서지. 여러분도 와. 대마 줄로 줘. If this true, just forget, okay? It's not true in body. We have to study maybe to detail, then we have to debate. We just go to done. We can just count this. Kind of something, no?
So I think it will be easier if we just go through our own system only.
You're right. Otherwise, too difficult. Maybe people complain. Where do you follow? That is water in the water. Raluna. 강한 시반에 내배도 올라가면 미쳐. 파도는 아주 라베도 도와. 뭐라도 따면은 나머지 시반에서 맞을 때 지나래 열로 되도.
근데 라로드. 라로드 라데.
라로드. 됐어. 싫어만. 어때? 대라서 당연히 지금 랍다 해봤어.
So in our own system, so this is according to what Jinchu is saying. So it says, if something is consciousness, it necessarily focuses on an object that is empty of true existence. For instance, take the consciousness to which a dream horse or dream elephant appears. So anyway, so the exalted wisdom that is explained here, the focusing object of that exalted wisdom is that.
Okay, we got a job, okay? Don't worry. 어디 다디 오더라도 대나 돈이 또 비트진이 전바들 가는 게 때문에 시기 좋은 생이 있어. 또 돈이 또 비트진이 전바. 또 가는 시기 좋은 생이 해서 와.
So the order there. So it says that an exalted, the knower of a Mahayana, 벌써 뭐야?
돈이 또 비트진이 전바.
Hallelujah. Oh, yes. The Kadi. So an exalted, the exalted knower of a Mahayana who has realized emptiness. So that is the definition of the exalted wisdom here. And so here it says Mahayanist who has realized emptiness. So it's the knower of the Mahayanist, and so it's according to the Mahayana path.
Exalted wisdom is realizing emptiness.
I'm
sorry, exalted wisdom equals realizing emptiness.
This is just the Geshe, right?
Geshe.
They're just the word Sherab and Geshe usually are used interchangeably, right? But somehow the translator is calling Geshe. Normally we would just call wisdom, but he's calling exalted wisdom. Yeah.
And that always equals realizing emptiness.
The Geshe is not
I just don't want to stumble on words when I'm reading.
So here, in this context, when we're talking about the exalted wisdom here, so it says that the exalted wisdom being explicitly taught in this context. So in this context, which the exalted wisdom that we're talking about, yes, for that it has to be a mind which realizes emptiness. So here the definition says an exalted knower of a Mahayanist who has realized emptiness. And so now we talked about the 20, right? There are 20 divisions of this exalted wisdom or knower. And so it says, if that is divided, there are three. There are the three that are path of accumulation. And so one that is a path of preparation. And so one for each of the 7 impure grounds.
And
there's also 5 sections within the same 20 divisions?
No, the 5 sections are 5 sections of the text.
Okay.
Yes.
And these 20 divisions are the 20 divisions of 20 types of emptiness.
Yeah, 20 types of emptiness.
The bottom of page 2, bottom of page 2 of the text that we have is where he is right now, and it talks about these 20 different types of emptiness.
디라 돈이 됐음 도블로 디라 니 도블로에서 고치가.
And so there's the mind realizing emptiness. So so here it talks about the three and the path of accumulation. So during the path of accumulation, you develop three types of mind that realize emptiness, and then during the path of preparation, you develop one mind that realizes emptiness, and then during the seventh ground, in each ground, you develop one mind that realizes emptiness. And then there's two each. Two each for each of the three pure grounds. So during the three pure grounds, the 8th, 9th, and 10th ground, and then you develop two wisdoms realizing emptiness at that time.
And then 사제 살았어.
Did everyone get the chart as well? Actually, I have a question. But I thought the path of accumulation and preparation, you hadn't realized emptiness directly. So those first four divisions of emptiness are not. That's what I'm asking. So those first four divisions of emptiness aren't realized directly. The ones that you realize in the path of accumulation and preparation, before the path is seen.
But 그래서 저랑보다 저랑보다 또 돈이지 돈이 또 넘어라서.
말.
No, it's not a direct realization of emptiness.
도망가도 요물.
You see?
No, it's okay.
오케이. 와, 이제 쫙. 간지 맞이 전화비질라 돈이 더 들어 말하고 손 전화비질라 찍자고 그러.
To contrive.
So there are three different minds realizing emptiness in path of accumulation, and there's one mind realizing emptiness in path of preparation.
근데 사 동번에 사 되면 봐라. 딱 내려와.
And then each of the grounds, and from the first to the seventh, there are each, there are one mind realizing emptiness.
근데 다바 사서면 되네. 그래서 사제발만 돈이 더 올라가니 그거는 저거는 말하니.
And then in the three pure grounds, the 8th ground, 9th ground, and the 10th ground, so each of them have two different types of mind realizing emptiness.
아니 사제가 살았어. 다른 일이 상해 보세요.
And then there are three in the Buddha ground, so that makes up 20.
가정아도 돈이 시작다. 쇼동반이 나 동반이 친구 동반이 대모도 치도 되네.
Oh, no more learning. That makes sense.
So this is talking about the emptinesses, we talk about the external emptiness, internal emptiness, the great emptiness, the small emptiness, and so forth.
So when you're talking about minds, what minds are you referring to? Like multiple minds, like one mind, two mind, three minds? Like whose mind, like what, is it a quality of mind? Is it like mind, is it like an abstract mind? Is it an aspect of my mind? Reaching the divine mind, that's pulling it down. Like what is the expression of mind that we're talking about?
So you have a mind. For example, in your mind, in your continuum, you have the mind which knows Ngawang, which knows Dhamma. That's two different persons, right? Two different minds. So it's similar to that kind of mind. So that one mind, which realizes this kind of emptiness, and another mind which realizes this kind of emptiness.
But it's all within the mind aspect of mind, or is it
like
connecting with the universal mind?
Yes.
Is it multiple minds, or is it just one mind with just different qualities that we're just bringing in?
The different minds.
Oh, different.
Different minds. So just like your eye consciousness, your ear consciousness, or nose consciousness. So these are all different minds.
So on different levels of mind.
Before we go ahead, could you just very briefly touch the difference between the two different middle way schools, the consequence and the...
Wait, let's get this mind thing down.
It would help me a lot.
It's not important in this text.
It's like an astral mind, a mental mind.
I think we will be helped by thinking of the terms which they use in Tibetan for those things, like Semlo, Yit, Shiva. They all have a gradation of meaning. They're not all the same thing. So when they say minds, like instance of mind, it doesn't mean you have two minds. Like we think of, I'm losing my mind or something. You don't have two minds. You have one mind, like a continuum. But within that, you have instances of awareness or a knowledge of something. So like knowing him and knowing him are two different instances of something that you know. So they're distinct from each other. The knowledge of Geshe-la and the knowledge of Damchu are different. So it's like that. It's not like you're having multiple minds layering on top of each other and vying for control of you or something like that. It's just very simply talking about learning and knowledge. So when you get a new mind that realizes emptiness, it really means you learned something. You know, you learned a new way of understanding it that you won't lose now. And now you have that, the same way that you learned, you know, the basics of biology in grade school, and then maybe learned, you know, more subtle way of understanding biology in college or something like that.
What's the difference between mind and consciousness?
There you go. Perfect. Because to me that means that the mind is bringing in another level of consciousness.
Go ahead, Andy. You can answer that.
That's perfect.
Consciousness.
Great. That's great. I love it. Exactly.
I'll let you take it. Go ahead.
It's the same. It's better. You can maybe explain in English.
I will just say I mean, at least the way that I understand it, mind is larger and more inclusive than is consciousness. Consciousness is like rudimentary. That just means like the being aware of a thing, like the function of awareness. And mind is kind of like the totality, the inclusiveness of all of the, you know, continuum of learning that you develop in a life.
The mind does.
So you have consciousness, you may have consciousness, but your mind may be unfunctioning. Like if you had some serious brain damage, you know, you could be conscious of like lights and shapes, but you wouldn't be able to access your mind to speak a language or understand words spoken to you.
But sometimes the same word in Tibetan is translated as both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it depends on the context.
And what follows us from life to
I'm talking about the brain now.
And what goes from life to life? Is it the mind or the consciousness?
So is the mind like the
I
Ishin?
figured it, I got what they
You know, like you don't say this is North consciousness, you don't say North mind, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
You know,
then
so like the mind is like mental consciousness,
Yeah.
and the consciousness, you know, is more broad. So everything,
Yes.
the eye consciousness, the ear consciousness, the
Yeah.
sense consciousness, and mental consciousness are all consciousness.
Yeah,
But when we used to talk about mind, it's mostly talking about the mental consciousness.
that's right. I think so.
Oh, so
That's
it
what I'm
refers to a
saying.
specific,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
a big, so
So-
that's a more clear explanation,
yeah.
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 So mind refers to mental consciousness, and then there are other consciousness.
Yeah. So that we say, you know, there's
Yeah,
a
so
sense
that's-
consciousness. So like the ear consciousness, you know,
So
then the
what-
eye consciousness, the
but
nose
mind
consciousness.
is
All
not
these
a
are
collection
consciousness.
of all the consciousnesses.
Maybe you can think of it at like in, we talk in psychology about executive function. Do you guys know the idea of executive function? And then you have also perception, you know, just basically sensory perception. But then you have an executive function that oversees all of your sensory perception and chooses objects to interact with and remembers things. It's like that.
Is there a listing of Tibetan cosmology, you know, in terms of what you see as the
There's a
order?
whole genre of like that they would study in the monastery, Lodrik, yeah, on mind and awareness, where you learn all of this. It's like basic
Yeah.
psychology.
And what continues from life to life? What is the continuum? Is it mind continuum or conscious continuum? From life to life, is it mind or consciousness?
Now you open the debate. So
하나도 로 세죠라. 로에서 샘 세죠라. 샘 세죠라. 내가 뭐 쉐바 세죠라. 샘 되가 너무 마음에다 이시로 세거라. 이게 쉐바들 샘 세거라. 샘 세다 내가 쉐바 세 딘이나다. 교환이 교pon도에 가는 건도 거스. Well, I mean, if we were talking about the mind as a mental consciousness, then it is that one. It is the mind.
That's the one that
the mind that
continues,
continues.
yeah.
Yeah. So consciousness, you know, which includes
Mental consciousness.
sense consciousness also. The sense consciousness doesn't continue yet.
That's very clear, thank you.
Isn't mind also used like a mind, a mind moment? So the mind that knows who you are is one mind, and then the mind that knows who Geshe-la is another mind. So it's used in that way rather than we have, I should think of the one unitary mind, but the way it's used in this text is like different moments of knowing.
맞아, 일단 쉐바세죠라, 리파스, 맞아. 맞아, 리파스죠. 나 똑바세죠라, 똑바세, 리파스, 쉐바세죠라. 어디 쉐바세들 때 코라도 나 쉐바세 나르고 생체.
그런 식으로
저도 그러면 대 쉐브라 쉐바. 쉐죠라. 앞에나 다 인지 게시를 쉐다. 그래서 야 되게 쉐죠라. 상고 쉐바라. 그래서 아무래도 이제 저거 왔다 그 되셨네. 나도 맞아 다 쉐바 메로메로 뭐 보였어. 되셔거라.
들어보라. 들어가가 시바랍니다. 나도 전에 또 시바까지 다 이해 가가요. 완전 다 이치 가는 거 되게라 말이야. 아, 그게 되는데 이게 언제 데카디 그 파시는 그 시에메로. 내가 가가가 숨 쉬는 거지. 이게 숨 좀 맞아 보시겠다. 그래. 로 말하고 숨 좀 와야 되나. 다파 로트네. 야, 로 숨 좀 되나? 되라 말.
So what do you guys think, of knowledge? Is the knowledge mind?
No.
No? If you know something, is it the mind that's knowing? If you know how to speak English, isn't that mind which knows how to speak? Or is it like if you know how to speak German, you know how to speak Spanish?
So is knowledge mind
So is it-
consciousness? Is that-
So you see, when we talk about the consciousness or mind understanding, this type of emptiness, that type of emptiness, this is knowledge.
Oh, it's knowledge.
It's a
Okay.
knowledge. So when we talk in Buddhism, when we talk about the knowledge is a mind. It's a mind that knows. So you have a knowledge of this thing, you have knowledge of that thing, right? So it's like a different mind,
But how
knowing
does it
that
result to
thing.
your past incarnations? Like if you were, if you realized these things a long time ago, but you're now just re-realizing them. But you're on your mind level, you have accumulated all this knowledge throughout all this period of time. But in this aspect of you, that's incarnation right now, this, you're sort of relearning it or concretizing it,
Right.
on your brain level. So that's where the terminology gets a little bit foggy, because in different schools and systems, they talk about levels of mind, and they might get a little bit more descriptive. So perceptual mind, like a mental, on the etheric plane, you're perceiving knowledge through different sense organs. So then that would be a lower level of mind versus higher levels of mind. So I don't know. You can having a diagram, I think, is really helpful. We have like a whiteboard or something you could kind of draw.
Anyway, so we're talking about the mind, right? So that knowledge is a mind.
The knowledge is
The knowledge, so knowledge, the mind, the consciousness that knows this person, that knows that person, that's knowledge, right? So that's a mind.
It's a mental concept.
So according to, in Buddhism, that's how I explain. And so when you talk about the level, again, it's sense the higher and lower level, right? So that depends on the realization, and how much knowledge you have. The mind that has more knowledge is a higher level. Mind that has less knowledge is in a lower level. So that's how you level the mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question on on the chart. Describes inferential realization of emptiness. I'm taking that to mean that you understand the concept of realization of emptiness, although you haven't attained
Right.
the realization of emptiness. Is that correct, basically?
벌써 돈이 가서 제박 처음에 도배된 돈이죠라. 디디드네 가서 당원 돈이 있다 가서 고하지만 지금 돈이 원래 또 와서 데려왔어.
돈이 땅에서 또 있어.
So when you realize emptiness inferentially, you realize it, you understand it, you understand emptiness, but not directly. You haven't realized it directly.
Well, you know of it, basically, instead of actually having the realization.
You have the realization.
Okay.
It's just by means of inference.
Yeah,
It's a
so
really
by means
just-
of inference, you have the realization of it by means of inference.
Okay.
And so when you realize it directly, you don't have to have that means.
It's like
You don't have to think that,
No,
this
it's a
is this
step above
because
that.
it's this.
Because we have intellectual knowledge.
above
It's above. We have intellectual. We can have intellectual knowledge of
that's
emptiness.
good knowledge.
Yes, but this is a step above that. This is a realization of emptiness, but it's dependent upon an inference to realize it.
The reasoning.
the reasoning is dependent upon it.
So you say, oh, it's emptiness because it's like this, you know.
Like we
because
explain,
it's empty because
we
it's empty of existing from its one side. So that you get reason. But when you realize directly, you don't have to think, oh, because it's like this. You just realize it directly.
Think about it like as if you looked at something and you knew things about it without ever having seen it before.
Well,
Think about that. That's what it would be like.
what about, would it be like if you know, like we know English, right? Like that. We don't have to think about
Yeah.
it would be like that. So you don't have to think about it. Okay.
Now maybe you need to know. How can we say?
Say it in Tibetan.
Tibetan say.
Oh, I see you were saying.
I don't know. Okay, Tibetan also.
That way, you have two translators here.
Geshe Ngawang 배워를 했어요. 가제 그 로바로서는 여기 나 저에 가로다. 빼놓다. 들으래 이렇게.
나도 그 배가 보고 그랬나. 그래?
야, 돼요. Geshe Ngawang 배워를 왔어. 가제 배워 보러 왔어. 그 배워 보고 지들 때도 그 배워 또 불러들어 다 집어서. 다른데 불러. 들어오시.
Anyhow.
이제 됐어?
Halfway. Maybe you.
Come on.
If he said he's a Tibetan, how do we know he's a Tibetan?
Yeah, so
So
you come to know Geshe Ngawang is Tibetan. How do you know that? Right.
No.
Not necessary.
He looks Tibetan.
Not necessary. If you look like a Tibetan, it's not necessary that it's Tibetan,
He told
right?
us he was born in Tibet.
Because he's born to Tibetan.
He told us he was born
If he's
in
born
Tibet.
to Tibetan, he's Tibetan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if he's born, he's Tibetan because he's born
So
to
this
Tibetan.
is inferential. This is
Yeah, inferential, yeah. So you come to know that he's Tibetan because of the reason that he was born to Tibetan.
It's inferred because of knowledge.
That's
of
right.
that.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
A valid reason, yeah.
And if
Because
we-
of the valid reason, you have to have a valid reason. You know.
So if we look at your stool there, your prayer stool, we say, you know that's empty because it has to be made by someone, made from wood, and the wood had to be cut down and then carpeted. So that's inferential reasoning, realizing emptiness, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you can say it's because it's dependent,
It's
right?
dependent on,
Yeah. So it has to depend on so many things. It's not existing by itself.
so that's inferential.
That's inferential, yeah.
But
Okay,
if you,
now-
but if you looked
he
at
has
it
question one.
and you saw the entire
Question?
history of how it was made and where it came from, and you could smell the wood and the trees and the forest all at the same time, that would be a direct
Is
realization.
that true,
Geshe-la?
Is he describing direct view of the
그런 간에 오래 신 가르래 디마드 놈들이 신 가르는 서월에 똑바르대 무슨 똑바르어. The realization of emptiness or the realization of table?
Of wood.
Of
Of
wood.
the emptiness of the table. As Mark described it, is that
If you
correct?
had a good, a clear insight into the dependent, how the table is dependently arisen.
So to realize how it's dependent
If you had into the emptiness of the table, if you had a direct realization, then you would be able to look at the table, and you would be able to, you could look at the table and you could know just about anything about where the table came from. And you could hear the sounds and the smells of everything that went into the making of that table. I know that for a fact.
So that is what? What is that?
That's an insight into emptiness.
Insight.
Even if you've never seen the table before, never been there.
또 쪽지들 가네 오래 가네 신 가려서 오래 그 디마 가네 가리고 있는데 선 딴에 되나 하고서는 얘는 그 쪽지 돈이 더 버렸어.
Nope, nope.
Yeah, now you can question.
Yes.
Finally.
When I look at the two, the diagram and the text, they look different. So it seems like the text has only one in preparation, and if I look at the picture, it looks like there are four, and that there are three extra in the pure grounds.
No, those divisions aren't divisions of emptiness.
So it's not the same, it's not the same, there's not a
Those are
one-to-one
different.
match.
No. In the path, you're seeing the heat, peak, forbearance, and that. Those
Yeah.
four. Those are just different levels of the path of preparation, but they don't line up 100% to the different emptinesses that are in the path of preparation. And we'll get to that. I mean, that's what he was trying to say, is that this part of the text right now is actually really complicated, but as we get through these two schools, explanations of emptiness, when we get more into the meat of the text about grounds and paths, it gets a little bit easier. So we have to kind of make our way through this difficult part, and then some more lights will come on, hopefully. It's a little bit of work up front.
Wow, this is nice. When we start, we don't have any pictures. But it is very difficult, not easy we start just once, twice. Not, we don't have anything. Because we didn't think before. Now we have some new things. Then I say, what kind of this is not for me, not available. But we just thinking. The result was very carefully, not easy to understand. Then maybe we skipped the different guys here. There are many debates, maybe they will two more confused.
So we'll skip all those debates and the disputes, and so we'll go through our own system about the paths and grounds next week. Okay?
Which is what page?
Well, the disputes go through. At least page 8. I think they go through 15, yeah? Control? Are all disputes?
We skipped those 15.
I think, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and then it's then it's presentation of the hero grounds, is that what you wanted to say?
Yeah, that's what we
That's
want.
page 16.
So we're jumping this.
I think, hold on, down to Well, page 8 is a
We
dispute.
finish all the Tawad, then we finish it. They hear Tawad and stop there. That's the
Oh no, because the Mahayana path description of path of seeing is on page 8, it's true.
Oh, okay.
Someone says that exalted wisdom of the first ground is his definition.
So accomplishment of accumulations. So it talks about the actual.
That's still debating that. This is not one.
Just little bit, just next page. Mine is just next page. Behind it.
Where do you want to start, Geshe-la?
What topic? Subject.
Subject 사이토 소득주들이 나는 사이토시라도 집어졌어요. 대체에 생마시
17 accumulation of the accomplishment of accumulations, the accumulation of the ground.
Okay.
So what page do you want us to start? Soldier, do you know what page?
I'm looking. This just should be one page ahead of where we were in Fultrum. He said he's only one page ahead in together.
So we're not skipping the debates. Oh, maybe we'll just.
Because otherwise you'll skip Solnam, I think.
Shiba stems and the
No, he just, when you walked out, he said there's a debate between Chittamatra and Pajamka, which isn't critical for our understanding of this. The problem is it's all interspersed.
Shiba stems and the Kaba. Say talk about 사람이 용서 좀 와줘버려 좀 맞으려 했을 때 그래 봐라 워낙 소득주들은 어려서
Maybe we should just read everything, and then you will skip over in your teaching the parts that are disputed, and just teach us.
You got more confused.
So it's in page 4.
Just one page, jump.
Page 4.
Don't worry, there are a lot of
the
catches.
first paragraph.
How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, one page at a time, right?
Then we have a lot of debates out there.
Because
In the second paragraph on the page 4, it says, what is the reason for explaining the accumulation of grounds from among the 17 accomplishments of accumulations in Kurukulla? So we're going to start from there.
Okay, so page 4.
So all those debates in the next section, you want us to read in the refutation
Then
section?
we can check here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe too complicated again. It's okay, we go. If this is very good, usually they make you thinking.
Yeah, it's good.
Otherwise, we doesn't think always, oh yeah. Just we have some new things coming, we have to think, no choice. Otherwise, we lose the social connection.
So we lose our, what's the our Khalid?
How is it, Kelly?
Kalen, our position, I guess.
Position.
Yeah.
But this is not easy. We have a lot of many different commands. You know, simjung up chung achuk.
So all there's 51 mental factors. So those are all also consciousnesses, minds. Yeah.
단당 남소절에 변나. 변나 인지 이게 당본이 디지털 버시는데 10번 말은 디지털 쓰거든 가지고 실수냐라고.
So that's like I said, knowledge. So knowledge is a mind, and so the mind that knows is called the knowledge, right? So that that thing in your mind that knows is called knowledge, and there's a different mind for knowing each thing. So the mind which knows A, B, C, it's all different. The mind which knows A is different from mind which knows B. So when you know the 26 letters, and you have 26 minds, these 26 different letters.
그래서 따지도 이제 시반 말하고 있다가서 싫은 말하고 있다가 가르치고 같이 하고 있어요.
And so it's a kind of knowledge. So that's how we count, the different type of mind knowing different things, different objects.
Okay? Nothing stop, yeah.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
I just want to know more about the two terms, sa and lam.
Oh, yeah.
Like why we use the terms sa and lam, like they have some metaphorical meaning, I guess, but
사드나 예대 때문에 예대 심지는 사스.
So the sa is the ground. The ground is like the foundation or the base, because it serves as a foundation for all the qualities, all the good qualities. Therefore, it's called ground or sa.
다 다시로다. 다 사직에서 로사 같은 남가로 소로부터 냠냥이냐로 돼도 남세. 그 다시로다 되지.
And so, because it is like the path, to go to the state of full enlightenment, therefore it's called path.
이거 되게 권이 되지. 사람이 되지. 다다 내가 사단함이 되지래서.
So, but anyway, in this context, the path and ground are synonymous. They are mutually inclusive.
But there are paths which are not on grounds though.
So, lamdi 있잖아요. 그 사관을 영말아서 가시. 가시 lamdi 사관을 영말아서.
소감 남죠.
네, 다다 나도 되게 사실로 그냥 되게. 근데 되게 다 되냐 제일로.
So, in this context, you count them as ground also.
야 사치 되어서 뭐 사탐은 되게.
And so, when you talk about the 10 ground, that's different again. That's different ground.
Okay.
So, in general, those paths are also ground, but then there's a particular ground, the 10 particular grounds.
So when you
So
say
that starts from the path of seeing.
So when you say the ground of qualities, you mean the 10 grounds or the ground that's synonymous with path?
또 연대 정말 연대기 대체기 사세죠. 이 사대는 정말 사치다 사셔가지고 맞고 사주나 사주.
No.
General ground. We're talking about general grounds, not the 10 grounds.
시다. 딱 그것을 다 정하고 그러든 내가 가서 뭐 바바라 그래 시와라 그래 늦어라 그래 그만하라 그런 게 시다 지금 말 그거 지로 와야 되나 그런 거까지 제주도 가고 의미가 나와서.
Understand? So it's just like calling this thing, you can call it what? Impermanent. You can call it product.
Yeah.
You can call it perishable thing. So, but it's the same. They're all,
You can
it
understand.
has that quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but they are all synonymous.
Yeah.
They're all mutually inclusive. Same meaning.
Or
Carry same meaning.
referring to the same.
Yeah.
가도 때라 시자라 그래, 여와라 그래, 야자라 그래, 유럽라 그래.
Yeah.
주바라서.
So same. So there are so many names for existence. It's called established base.
Yeah.
It's called an object of knowledge, or it's called phenomena, or it's called
Yeah.
existence. So whatever you call it, it's all same.
Can I ask one other question?
Okay.
So, sometimes you hear, I think especially on the, there's one on the path of seeing, which is called like an uninterrupted path. And when I heard it explained before, it sounded like almost like you don't go on the path, but the path takes you. Do you know what I mean? So, I'm just curious about this.
발전 매너서 발전 발음 맞춰서 람세서 발전 매너서 발음 맞춰서 발전 매별 람세가 발전
마치 매벨은 다
발전 매별 람세도 저는 대 말도 어제 스스 다스 치료 대 너무 와제 스스 다스 치료가
대 와요. 대 거대 바지가 말. 나도 바지를 말라나 말하는 거지 빠져라. 딱 미니 시대에 내가 바지만 서로.
진짜 발치에서는 가서 발 맞춰서 발도 맞춰서 가래 발 맞춰서
It happens really quickly. I heard too. It happens like very rapidly. As soon as you enter the path of seeing, you pass through the uninterrupted path.
발전 매너로 시대 내가 오늘 그래
내가 가는 코디 뻥 맞고 코디에 들어와. 가디 바나코 나랑 바로 봐.
남들로 시대 내가 말을 그래
제들 내가 나불로 써야 되는 말. 나불로 파지네 아주 다 드신 토사도.
So uninterrupted path, you might stay there for a long time.
Oh.
So uninterrupted path is the antidote, right? So you have to apply the antidote. And so once you have applied the antidote, and then you have to keep on applying until you have abandoned that, the delusion or obstruction. So once you have abandoned that, then you are free from there.
I see.
So until you have abandoned, until you have applied that antidote, to the delusion, then you are still there. So I think maybe you're talking about in that it's called path of release or something, because the thoroughly liberated path. So that one goes through very fast.
Yeah.
So once you are free, once you have abandoned, then you have achieved the freedom, right?
Yeah.
The path of release. You have achieved the freedom, and then I say, okay, now I've done this, but I have more to do. So you get up, you stand up, and then you go into post-meditative equipoise, and where you accumulate a lot of merit by doing all those other practices, and then again you go into meditation to apply antidote to those delusions.
Yeah. That chart shows that every one of the 10 bhumis has a path of release and an uninterrupted path.
Yeah, uninterrupted path.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know that. Dashi hakumen. I will check.
I think mainly just the idea is like when we hear path, it sounds like
대리다 바지를 다 바지 말로는 너는 보고라 내 사실 배치고 말이야. 제도 바치고 말이야. 바 바치고 그만 봐.
So so like when you move from path to path, you move from ground to ground. So first ground to the second ground, you move while you are in meditative equipoise.
Yeah.
And so I think it's not interrupted by post-meditative equipoise. It could be that. It could mean that, not interrupted. By post-meditative equipoise, you go from meditative equipoise to meditative equipoise.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I think I heard that too. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm curious if emptiness is permanent or impermanent.
It's permanent.
Okay.
That doesn't mean it always exists though.
대불라 동반이 때 맞다바이나 이보처럼 이보이나 법인 여자 시켜는데 저와 뻥 왜 그랬어 다 타고됐다. 요즘 이런 거까지.
그거는 또 동반이 땅바래 되는 땅바래 시간 먹었어.
대리요.
So he said that, to be clear, that doesn't mean it always exists.
제대 찔러는 지금 너희들 못하고 제대 찔러는 Okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
if you look at something, right, and you know everything about it, even if you've never seen it before, right, and you can see where it came from and everything that's happened, okay, and you could hear it even in all the different places it was, or if you look at another person and you have the realization that there's no difference between you and them, and that's why that you can know what they're thinking because there's no difference between you. Or if you're listening to Tibetan and you're listening to mantras and you can suddenly understand the Tibetan in English without ever having studied Tibetan, is that, to know those things, is that a direct insight into emptiness? Or is that just your third eye working?
대충 돈에서 준 로그 마시 돈에서 준 로그
So you said third eye, right?
Is that just your third eye? Knowing things?
So the mind which knows, the mind which knows this book, is that a third eye?
No, it's the mind.
Why? Why is it not third eye?
The third eye is only what helps you to know, what helps you to know the book. What helps you to see it, what helps you see it.
So then that also your mind also helps you to see it. So therefore your mind is third eye.
It's okay.
So anyway, that's not emptiness.
No.
That's not relaxing emptiness.
Okay.
Okay.
Yay, thank you.
Okay. I hope you guys are not too maybe too a little exciting. You say, oh, Pado, grande teaching, we have to go something like that. But it is not easy, okay? If you really like to study, you can continue, you can go. Then you get something understand kind of the
You will understand little by little.
Because
Slowly,
this is
slowly.
I have also experienced. When we study a new book, first time we don't know what's going on, we have studied it. Then we continue again, same thing. Then we say, oh yeah, no, it's something understand. But I hope not, you guys not too confused, okay? Yeah. Okay, I'm good.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Thank you, Geshe.
Okay, please turn to page 8. We'll do verses 1 and 4. In Tibetan. Tashi Pyogi Jukshin Betok Tram Rira Bunshin Yintigan Pandi Sange Shindu Ninte Uwagi Joko Nandakshin Lati Pasho Ketun Lame Kutse Rasenji Namka Pile Jokyo Kepatan Lopsan Tempe Drome Sasungi Dore Musa Tatu